Hello, I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and today I'm going to show you how you can lower your golf score in 2020. We're getting very close to the end of the year, and now's the time to start thinking about plans and goals for 2020. So in this video, I'm going to give you some strategies that you can employ that will definitely lower your score and hopefully give you a path to move forward with your golf and really start lowering that golf score. So if this is the first time to this channel, welcome. This channel is all about helping you play better golf and lowering your golf score. It's not always about changing your swing. I'm just giving you simple ideas from week to week that will definitely impact your score. So if you like the video, consider subscribing and hit the bell notification, and then you're notified of all of my golf tips as I release them. Currently I'm producing a video every Monday morning Melbourne time and Thursday morning Melbourne time. So wherever you are in the world, it's twice a week. It may be at night on a Sunday. It just depends. So as I said, today we're going to look at some strategies that will move your golf forward in 2020. So the first strategy is everyone hits bad golf shots. No matter who you are, no matter where you play, no matter how good you are, you hit bad golf shots. Think Jordan Spieth in the US Masters a few years ago. He definitely hit a bad shot on 12. He followed it up with another bad shot on 12. Absolute disaster. But what happens to the best players in the world, and I'm not just talking about the best, absolute best golfers, but the best club golfers and the people that can still reduce their score, is they follow it up and get things back on track. So Jordan Spieth had a couple of birdies in the final few holes. He didn't let the whole game blow out and he still finished second. So I think it's critical that when you hit a bad shot and you know you're going to hit one, you know they're going to come, but when you hit it, you develop the 10 seconds strategy. So I think this is a really good strategy for you all to employ. So you hit the bad shot, absolutely, can't stop it, but you've hit it. You've got 10 seconds to purge it from your memory. So you can mutter, curse, don't really throw a club, I don't encourage that, but do whatever you want, get that frustration out of you for 10 seconds. Once that 10 seconds has expired, forget the shot, forget what has just happened, and move forward and think about what you're going to do on the next shot. And that's pretty important. Don't hold on to that bad shot or bad hole you've just had for the rest of the round. If you do, your score's definitely going to get worse. So on the US Tour, they have a bounce back stat, and that's basically when you've had a bad hole, how quickly do you bounce back? And it's amazing how the best players, if they've had a double bogey or triple bogey, they quite often follow it up with a birdie because they get their game back on track, they start thinking clearly, and they just execute their game plan. Talking about game plan, more on that later. And the second thing I want you to think of is that the best players in the world don't necessarily hit the best golf shots. They certainly hit a lot of good shots. But what I prefer to think is the best players in the world hit the best bad shots. And I wonder if you've thought about that. Just take a moment and think about what you've been trying to do on the range. Everyone's trying to make their best shot go much better. I think it's a novel idea and it's probably worth thinking about, but I think it's much better to concentrate on your bad shot. What is your bad shot tendency? If it's a 40-meter slice or a 40-yard slice, how about we try and make it into a 25-yard slice? That will at least keep it between the trees. We don't want to hit it in the trees, but if we can keep it between the trees, you've got a chance. So work on making your bad shot go a lot better, and I think you're going to find your score will improve. Doesn't mean to say you've got to change much to make that better. Sometimes you can just swing within yourself and try not to overextend yourself. And of course, if you do have that really big slice, don't aim a long way left, aim a little bit left. And when you are training, think about and put yourself into a pressure situation on the range where you might think to yourself, out on that fairway there is a flagstick. Anything that goes left of the flagstick is in a water hazard. So I want to keep all of my shots right of that flagstick, then I know I'm going to be in play. Or vice versa. You might then say, well, anything right of that flagstick is going to be in the trees. So I have to find a way to keep my ball left. I don't think too many people practice trying to hit the ball in a specific place often enough. And I think that's a big mistake. So when you're out there training, work on trying to get the ball in play. If you're out on the course, a good strategy might be to say, If you hit the ball on the fairway, this is of course in practice, you can advance the ball 30 steps closer to the hole. If you hit the ball in the right-hand rough, you have to then add a stroke to your score. And if you practice that way, and score counts, I think you might find a way to not hit it in the right-hand rough. We're not talking trees, but right-hand rough. You might even consider hitting an iron, because if you can advance it 30 yards down the fairway, you just got to hit it on the fairway. 30 yards is a big addition. So practice doing that. I've done that with some of my college kids, and they get quite frustrated at it, but it really does improve them when it comes to playing the game of golf on the golf course. And I've got a lot more of those sorts of games that I will introduce over coming months. And of course, my third strategy is only practice what's going to move the needle for you. Don't practice things that aren't really going to lower your score, and that's what I mean by moving the needle. If what you're about to do and the energy you're about to expend doesn't lower your score, don't do it. To me, it's all about lowering score. No matter what your handicap is, you want to shoot lower scores, not just one lower score. You want to reduce your average down, 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 down each time. So I would be doing what most golf pros do, and that's spend 2/3 of their practice time, whatever that practice time is, on the short game skills, because that's where tournaments are won and lost. If we think back to the Australian Open last week, Matt Jones, who won the tournament, had to chip and putt to win the tournament. He started with a 2-shot lead. In fact, I think he had a 3-shot lead playing the last. And then Louis Oosthuizen had an eagle. Suddenly his lead was cut to 1. He then didn't realise until he got onto the green, or got near the green, and he was playing pretty safe. Then he found out he had to get it up and down to win the Australian Open. So no matter what happened on the 71 holes prior to that, he had to get the ball up and down. That's short game related. So all the important shots that you think of that win tournaments are pretty much always short game related, yet we don't actually practice. I'm standing here on the practice putting green at the moment and there's not a soul on it. I've been here for half an hour doing some things. I haven't seen anyone. Yet at the moment on the range is full of people. They're full of people hitting golf balls, practicing golf balls. So focus on that short game, and if you are on the range, focus on skills that are going to make you better. Hitting the ball further isn't really going to do it. People say it does. Let's focus on the low-hanging fruit. And yeah, ultimately, obviously, if you can hit it a bit further, it's going to help. But it's so hard, and you've got to do so many things right. And quite often, your body won't allow you to do it. So you need to also consider a gym program. But I'm talking low-hanging fruit. Let's do the stuff that's really easy, and that's really focus on the things that are going to move the needle. Chipping, pitching, putting, bunker shots. Really focus and double down on those areas. You're definitely going to lower your score. And the fourth strategy is be strategic. Have a game plan. Let's be honest. Hands up if you've got a game plan. I don't have many regrets in my life, but one of the regrets that I do have is that when I played, I had no game plan. I basically stood up on a hole and I hit my driver, and I was a great driver of the ball. And quite often I think back and I think, gee, I hit a great drive there, but that was such a tough shot into the green. If I had have hit it down the left-hand side, it'd be a real easy pitch into the green. But suddenly I've hit it down the right-hand side, and I've got a tough pitch over a bunker with a downslope sloping away from the hole. Is it any wonder I hit it over the back and then didn't get it up and down and took bogey? If I had have hit it down the left side, I might have made 3. So I think back to some of those rounds where I hit the ball really well, and I was a pretty good ball striker. I would probably hit somewhere between 12 and 14 greens around every single round, but I was relying upon my ball striking. If I had have put a bit of strategy in place and thought, okay, which side of the fairway gives me the best access to the flagstick, I want to hit it down that side of the fairway. And I was good enough with the driver to hit it down the side of the fairway that I wanted. Instead, I just stood up there and tried to hit it down the fairway and succeeded. I hit a lot of fairways, but I really didn't do myself any favours. And I think with the really good young golfers today, they hit it much further than I ever did, but they're also strategic. They know the side of the fairway that they want to hit it on to give best access to that. So when I'm out on the golf course giving playing lessons to my clients, and I'm helping them come up with a strategy for what they do around the golf course, at the end of the round, and there's one gentleman in particular that I remember said, "Gee, you teach a negative form of golf." And I took that as a positive. And I actually said, I won't say his name because I know he's going to watch this video and he'll probably say, "Were you referring to me?" Yes, I was. You know who you are. He said, "You're really negative. I couldn't play golf being that negative." And I said to him, "Well, what you say is negative, I call strategic." There's a difference between negative and strategic. Strategic is giving you the best opportunity to get the ball in the hole for the fewest amount of strokes. Now, if that means hitting a hybrid off the tee instead of a driver, that's strategic, not negative. I'm not saying you can't hit your driver. What I'm saying is you can't hit your driver on the right part of the fairway often enough to lower your score. And that brings me back to my 70% rule, or the 7 out of 10 rule. Don't hit the shot you want to hit the shot that you know you can hit. Now, if you know you can hit the shot 70% of the time, that's the shot you should play. If you think, I can only make this shot 30% of the time, don't play it. It's just not worth it, because sure, 30% of the time you are going to hit the shot and you might get a little reward for that. But that means 70% of the time you won't. And it's just so easy to do that 7 out of 10 shot. If it doesn't quite come off, you're still going to be in a good shot. But if you're having the 3 out of 10 shot where you've got to carry the water 150 and you know you can only do it 3 out of 10 times, the rest of the 7 you're going to be in the drink. And that adds to your score. So just, be strategic. And my 5th way of lowering your score is going to be try and eliminate wastage. Wastage comes in many forms, but some of the simplest bits of wastage are so easy to fix. Spend a little bit of time on the putting green and eliminate 3 and 4 putt wastage. If you're 3 and 4 putting 2 or 3 times a round, there's at least 3, maybe even 6 shots that are being wasted every single round, which can easily be fixed. Start working on your long distance and lag putting. I made a video recently on how you can actually practice long distance and lag putting, and it's got so many different variables to it. So I'll put a link in the description and at the top of the page there, and you can click on that and it'll give you some ideas on how to train yourself for long distance and lag putting. The other wasted shot is the amount of times people do hit it in the trees and they try for the miracle shot to make up for that shot. Really? If you're in the trees, get it in play with the next shot. Don't blast it out into the trees on the other side of the fairway. Try and visualize where you would like to play your next shot from on the fairway. Visualize that flagstick that's sitting there and try and get the ball to that flagstick. If it's backwards, it's backwards. But you want to make sure that that shot you've hit that's finished in the trees is only going to cost you 1 shot. We don't want to add to that and start having 3 and 4 shots, because then we get back to the first rule of getting frustrated and holding on. Okay, so we don't want to go down that path. If you're in trouble, get it out of trouble. If you take a double bogey, you take a double bogey. A double bogey is better than a triple, quadruple. So take your medicine sometimes and just get it out the best way you can. Don't try and fire at dangerous positions. If the pin is tucked really close back right to the bunker, and you know that if you hit it over the back of the green you can't get it down into, or you get in the bunker and it's a really steep lip bunker, don't go for the flag. Go for the front left of the green and then 2-putt. Sometimes it's much easier to 2-putt from about 15 paces or even 20 paces than it is from over the back of the green on an upslope with no green to work with. So just be really sensible and just try and eliminate wastage as much as you can. And of course, one of the best ways to eliminate wastage is to do what one of my biggest fans, David Lee from England, he's coined a phrase, WWBD, which stands for what would Brian do? So when he's out on the golf course, he's always coming up to the shot and he's thinking, what would Brian do? So I could actually rework that and say, what would Brian say? Because it's not about what I would do. My skill level is different to your skill level. But caddy for yourself. What would I say for you to do in that situation? So I love it. So there's quite a few comments David leaves with WWBD. And I think that's a great concept. So just doing the WWBD concept, that alone is going to lower your score. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself questions. If you were caddying for yourself, what would you tell yourself to do in that situation? It probably won't be that 3 out of 10 shot. So consider that. It's definitely going to lower your score. And of course, the final strategy is try and develop a game plan. And developing a game plan is pretty easy. Just take a scorecard, mark down on the scorecard where you don't want to hit the ball. That's Payne Stewart did when he won the US Open at Pinehurst. He actually went out with a yardage book and he went there and he realised there were some certain spots that if he hit his ball in that position, he wasn't going to be able to get the ball up and down in two. So he just put a big cross through that area. And I think in 72 holes, he only hit it in one of those bad areas once. And he didn't have a double bogey, so he did quite well. Do the same. Work out the areas you don't want to hit the golf ball and do your best to try and avoid them. And the strategy I love the most with trying to develop a game plan is you've got this free software that you can use that will help you do it. It's called Google Earth. So Google Earth Pro is free. And I'm not sure whether it works on an Apple computer, but it certainly does on a Windows computer, and I do it all the time with clients. You can zoom into your golf course, there's a measuring tool, and you can, let's say you hit the ball about 180 metres off the tee, which is the equivalent of 200 yards. You can actually go into, say, the first hole at your golf course, if it's a 340 metre par 4. You can go into Google Earth, locate your first hole, and you can use the measuring tool to measure 180 metres or 200 yards, and you can find out where that puts you. Now it might be that there's a bunker in that situation, so that might then say, well, let's try and hit it 150 off the tee. We miss the bunker, poke it down around the corner so you can measure again, and the plan of course is depending on your handicap. Let's say you've got a handicap of 8, or you want to achieve a handicap of 18, you want to have 18 bogeys. So the plan is to get on all the par 3 holes for 2 shots, get on all the par 4 holes for 3 shots, and get on all the par 5 holes for 4 shots. 2-putt every green, you just play to your handicap of 18. And you just adjust this goal accordingly. If you want a handicap of 9, you need 9 bogeys and 9 pars. So work out on the scorecard where are the 9 most difficult holes on the golf course, and they're your bogey holes. So then map out a strategy of what the best way to get a bogey. And really, if you stood on the tee and thought, gee, all I need here is a bogey, and we're in Australia, of course, these flies are terrible. Welcome to summer in Australia. So it's pretty easy to have a bogey. You just get it up near the green for 2 on a par 4, chip it on, 2-putt, bogey. Get it up near the green for 3 on a par 5, chip it on, 2-putt, bogey. Get it up near the par 3 for 1, not on, just near it, chip it on, 2-putt, bogey. So if you do that 9 times, and I'm sure if you're trying to get a 9 handicap, you've got a reasonable amount of proficiency, and you can then try and get 9 pars. So you just allocate on the scorecard where the best par opportunities, where are the best bogey opportunities, and so forth. If you want to try and break 100, 27 over par, if it's a par 72, gets you under 100. That's 9 double bogeys, 9 bogeys. That means on the 9 most difficult holes, get on the green for whatever the par of the hole is, 2-putt. On the other 9 holes, we just try and have a bogey. So if you think about it like that, it's pretty easy. Use Google Earth Pro, it's fantastic. It's amazing how much and how strategic you can be. It's also a lot of fun trying to map out courses. What if I hit the ball 180? So go and mark 180 metres, 200 yards from the tee on each hole, see what that leaves you. You might then think, well, I hit my second shot 150 metres, 165 yards. Work out where that puts you, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to navigate yourself around the course. So there you have it. I've made a lot of videos in 2019 based on lowering your golf score. It's critical, and I promise I'm going to make a lot more. Really, lowering your score is easy. You just have to get the ball in the hole for less shots. It doesn't have to look pretty. There's no room on the scorecard to paint a picture. It's just a tiny little box. We want the lowest number we possibly can in that box. That's what lowering your score means. It doesn't have to be pretty, as I said. It's not being negative, it's being strategic. If you're watching any golf tournament, watch how strategic the best players in the world are. They don't hit driver off every single tee. So if the best players in the world don't hit driver off every single tee, you shouldn't either, because they've got a lot more skill than what you have. So map out your plan, map out your goals. If you want a hand with it, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you. Thank you for letting me help you with your golf. I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.